It's getting harder and harder to ignore the green wave, isn't it? I mean, we're all thinking more about where things come from.
Definitely food, energy.
Exactly. And, well, that scrutiny is now hitting everyday materials, too, especially textiles, the clothes we wear.
Absolutely. The textile industry is uh, really ripe for disruption.
Yeah.
And one of the most compelling areas, it's this move towards bioplastic textiles.
Bioplastic
It's a
textile.
fundamental rethink, you know,
Yeah.
of what our fabrics are actually made of.
So that's the focus for this deep dive, these bioplastic textiles.
Hmm.
And maybe forget those brittle food containers for a second.
Right. Different application entirely.
We're talking eco-friendly fabrics here,
Yeah.
made from renewable stuff, plant starches, vegetable oils,
Cellulose, yeah, that structural bit in plants.
basically clothing with a much smaller footprint, grown, not just synthesized from fossil fuels.
And look, this isn't some tiny niche market anymore. The numbers really back that up.
Yeah. What are we seeing?
Projections show the global market hitting, let's see, USD, para 584.26 million in 2025.
Over $1 billion. Okay.
But the really compelling part is the growth forecast.
Right. I saw that. A compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 9.28%.
Exactly, over the next several years.
Which takes it to, what, USD 2,192.37 million by 2033?
That's the projection, yeah. Almost doubling.
Wow. That kind of expansion, it really signals a major shift.
It does. So our goal today for this deep dive is to really get under the skin of this market.
Okay.
We've got a detailed analysis here, and we want to pull out the key insights, where it is now, where it's heading.
So we're looking at market size, the growth drivers,
And the challenges too, of course, plus the key materials being used,
where you'll find them, the applications.
and how different regions are adopting these bioplastic textiles.
Great. So let's start with that big picture view, the global market. You mentioned the 1,084.26 million for 2025.
Correct. And that climbed to 2,192.37 million by 2033, driven by that 9.20% CAGR.
And just for context, the report uses 2024 as the base year.
That's right. With historical data going back to 2021, 2025 is the estimate, and the forecast runs through 2033.
Okay. Now, the regional breakdown is always interesting. Where's the activity concentrated right now?
Well, North America currently holds the lion's share,
Really? How much?
over 40% in 2025. That translates to about USD 276.49 million.
Okay. Significant. And their growth.
Also substantial. Projected CAGR of 7.8% between 2025 and 2033.
Which probably reflects what? Established consumer awareness infrastructure?
I think so, yeah. Likely reflects that existing demand and setup for sustainable products.
And within North America, the U.S. is the main engine.
It is. The report puts the U.S. market at USD 218.15 million for 2025, growing at 7.6% CAGR.
And Canada and Mexico.
Also contributing. Canada around USD 33.18 million, Mexico USD 25.16 million, actually way higher growth rates there, 8.6% and 8.3% respectively.
Interesting. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe.
Europe's also a major player, holding over 30% of the market share.
30%. Okay, so that's rough. But
USD 542.13 million in 2025, and their growth is solid too, 8.6% CAGR projected through 2033.
any standout countries in Europe?
Well, the report highlights the UK about USD 91 million market size, growing at a healthy 9.4% CAGR.
Faster than the regional average.
Yeah. And Germany, too, over USD 107 million with an 8.8% CAGR.
Which, again, probably points to strong regulations, maybe. A proactive stance on sustainability in the EU.
That seems very likely, yes.
Now, Asia-Pacific APAC. This is where the report flags the really rapid growth.
That's the one, the real growth engine. They hold around 23% of the market now, so USD 162.64 million in 2025.
Okay, smaller share than North America or Europe currently.
But their projected CAGR is remarkable. 12.3% between 2025 and 2033.
12.3%. That's significantly faster.
By quite a margin, yeah, making it the fastest growing region.
And who's leading the charge within APAC?
Well, China's a major player, naturally. By USD 68 million market, 11.8% CAGR.
Still very strong growth.
Absolutely. But the real standout, growth-wise, seems to be India.
Oh, yeah.
Market size around USD 60 million in 2025, but with a projected CAGR of 14.2%.
14.2. That's the highest we've seen.
Highest in APAC, yeah. This rapid growth in the region, it's likely a mix of things.
Like what?
Maybe increasing domestic manufacturing, government incentives perhaps.
And just growing consumer demand there, too.
Exactly. A growing middle class becoming more aware and demanding sustainable options.
Makes sense. Okay, let's quickly round out the other regions. South America.
Accounts for just over 5% of the market in 2025. That's around USD 32.53 million. But still, a respectable 10.1% CAGR.
And Brazil and Argentina are key there.
That's right. Brazil estimated around USD 14 million, 10.7% growth. Argentina smaller, maybe 5.5 million, but slightly higher growth, again, 11.0% CAGR.
Interesting pattern. And the Middle East?
A smaller slice, around 2%, about USD 43 million in 2025. But again, robust growth, 10.5% CAGR.
Saudi Arabia, UAE mentioned.
Yeah, showing significant activity and growth rates around 10.8 to 11.0%.
And finally, Africa.
Currently the smallest share, around 1%. That's USD 27 million in 2025. But again, promising growth, 10.3% TGR. South Africa is noted there, around 9.5 million with 11.2% growth.
So quite dynamic growth across most regions, even the smaller ones. Okay, we've got this global map. What are the main forces pushing this whole market forward?
The report points to several key drivers.
Right.
Number one, just escalating consumer demand.
For greener stuff?
For environmentally sound alternatives, yeah.
Yeah.
People understand the costs of conventional fabrics more now. They're actively looking for sustainable choices.
It tracks with everything else we see. What else?
Regulations are a big factor, too.
Yeah.
More governments are putting policies in place that encourage or even mandate biodegradable materials.
A policy push.
Right. Tackling pollution, waste. And then there's a specific surge in interest around sustainable fashion, ethical production.
People aligning purchases with values.
Exactly. That's a powerful driver.
Okay, so consumer pull, policy push makes sense. Are there any roadblocks, things holding it back?
Yes, definitely. The report highlights a couple of key challenges.
Like cost.
Cost is a big one. Higher production costs for bioplastics compared to, the traditional petroleum-based ones.
Why is that? Raw materials, process.
Can be both. Specialized raw materials, maybe more complex manufacturing, it limits wider adoption and scalability right now.
Okay, and the other challenge?
Raw material availability itself, specifically the limited availability of sustainably sourced raw materials needed.
So a potential bottleneck if demand keeps surging.
Precisely. If demand outstrips that sustainable supply.
Got it. Cost and supply chain issues. Now, what about trends shaping things?
Well, the report stresses that the increasing adoption itself is a major trend, obviously fueled by that demand we talked about.
Yeah.
But also, crucially, we're seeing big advancements in production methods.
Making the materials better.
Yeah, improving functionality, durability, making them suitable for more uses, addressing maybe some early limitations.
Okay, that leads us nicely into the materials themselves. What are the key bioplastic textiles we should know about?
Well, PTT is a significant one. Polytrimethylene terephthalate.
PT2, okay. Why is it popular?
Good properties. Durability, elasticity, stain resistance, things people want in fabrics.
In the bio angle?
It can be derived from renewable sources, like corn glucose.
So a bio-based alternative to traditional polyester, basically.
In essence, yes, offering similar performance so you see in apparel, home furnishings.
Makes sense. And you mentioned one material seeing the fastest growth.
Yes, that would be PA polyamide.
Polyamide.
Like nylon.
Related, yes. Its rapid growth in the bioplastic sector is down to its inherent strength, resilience, wear resistance.
Good for tough applications.
Exactly. And as demand for sustainable options grows, manufacturers are using more bio-based versions of PA derived from renewables for clothing, but also industrial textiles.
Interesting. The report also mentioned PT and PLA.
Correct. Peat polyethylene terephthalate, the stuff in plastic bottles, also has bio-based versions being used in textiles now.
Okay.
And PLA polylactic acid, that's another important one, often from cornstarch or sugarcane.
And PLA is known for being biodegradable, right?
What?
Exactly. That's a key advantage, especially where end of life is a big concern.
Okay, so PTT, PA, BioPeat, PLA. Quite a range. Where are we actually using these fabrics day to day?
Right now, the biggest application area is actually home textiles.
Home textiles like bedding, curtains.
Yeah, bed linens, curtains, upholstery, driven by that consumer push for eco-conscious choices in the home.
But you said clothing was growing fastest.
It is, yes. The clothing sector is where we're seeing the most rapid expansion.
Which makes sense with the whole sustainable fashion movement.
Precisely. Rising consumer demand for sustainable fabrics and, well, fashion, activewear. It's fueled by environmental awareness, but also brands pushing their own sustainability initiatives.
Brands wanting to look good, basically.
Well, responding to demand and maybe shaping it too. The report also notes footwear as another area starting to use these materials.
Sneakers made from corn. Could be. It's fascinating, too, thinking about the original sources. The report touched on that.
It did. Sugarcane, for instance, plays a really vital role, especially as a feedstock for PLA.
Why is that important?
Well, for sustainability in fashion, sugarcane PLA offers biodegradability and a lower carbon footprint than traditional stuff.
Okay. And what about beet? That seemed like an unusual one.
Beet is, emerging as a rapidly growing source
Hmm.
for biodegradable polymers.
And what are beet-based polymers like?
Apparently offer a good balance. Durability, flexibility, comfort, so suitable for clothing, upholstery.
Driven by sustainability push and better tech.
It seems so. Technological improvements in processing beet are helping. The report also mentions cornstarch and cassava as other key renewable sources.
Right. This sounds like a really dynamic competitive space then. Who are the companies driving this?
It is evolving fast, yeah.
Mm.
Big focus on sustainable innovation. You see major apparel brands jumping in.
Like who?
Patagonia, Adidas, The North Face. They're investing in and using bio-based materials quite actively.
The big names.
Yep. And alongside them, lots of innovative startups exploring new plant-based polymers, PLA, PHA, for textiles.
And there's serious money flowing into the production side too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The report mentions some big investments. Florian, for example, securing over USD 300 million for their bioplastics tech.
Wow.
And Balrampur Chini Mills in India committing nearly USD 240 million for a PLA plant.
That's serious commitment. Shows belief in the future market.
Definitely. The report lists a bunch of key competitors too: Avantium, PTT, MCC, Biochem, NatureWorks, BASF, many others. Though it notes the list isn't in any particular rank order.
Okay. So let's bring this all together. Where's the market strongest now and where's it heading?
Right. So the report is clear. North America dominated in 2025, held the biggest share.
And that's down to existing demand, tech, regulations, infrastructure.
Pretty much, yeah. Combination of those factors, however, looking forward.
Asia Pacific's growth.
Exactly. Asia Pacific is projected to have the fastest CAGR by a significant amount.
Driven by consumer demand there, government policies.
That's the analysis. And the report even suggests this high growth could mean APAC overtakes North America.
Becomes the dominant market.
Potentially, yeah. In the years beyond 2025, it's definitely the region to watch.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the really crucial takeaways on bioplastic textiles?
Well, I think the key insights are pretty compelling. First, this isn't niche anymore. It's a significant, rapidly growing sector.
Driven by sustainability concerns.
Fundamentally, yes. Global awareness, environmental concerns. Second, the regional picture. North America leads now, but Asia-Pacific is poised for the fastest growth, maybe even dominance later.
And the materials themselves.
We're seeing key materials like PTT and polyamide leading the charge, offering good performance.
And exciting developments in the sources like sugarcane and beet.
Exactly. Using these renewable biological sources is becoming increasingly sophisticated.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to ponder. As this technology keeps improving and production scales up, could these bioplastic textiles actually become the mainstream choice?
Could they eventually displace traditional synthetic fibers entirely? It's a big question.
What innovations do you think will be crucial in materials, science, manufacturing, maybe even just consumer habits? What needs to happen to make biotextiles the default?
We definitely encourage you to look into some of the companies we mentioned, follow the research. It's a really dynamic field.
With the potential to fundamentally change what we wear and the impact that has on our planet.